Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on this very gray and forbidding day. A day for having the indoor lights on all day long. Uh, Heavy clouds getting thicker as the day goes on, with a real feel of rain in the air, maybe even a little snow or a wintry mix, a sleet of some kind. That's almost certainly coming the closer we get to sunset, but it isn't going to mean anything. No matter what happens, whether it's just windy rain or whether there is a little bit of snow, it's all going to go away. The next 5 or 6 days, the temperature is going to be in the mid 50s. So short sleeve weather. This is not the beginning of the winter that should have started 4.5 weeks ago. uh, but it's a day for keeping watch on the outside. My squirrels are extra hungry. My sparrows are extra hungry. They have been pretty demanding. And my little bean is extra hungry as well. She's taken an extra meal today. She ordinarily has a very distant relationship with food. She's not all that hungry most of the time. She's not a bolter of her food. She's the very first dog I've ever had who's not a bolter of her food. Just will pick at it and peck at it, walk around, stare at it, give it funny looks and whatnot. That's been true her whole life. But today, something about the air pressure or whatever has made every single kind of animal hungry, except yours truly. But I've got 2 packages here. One, no boxes, but one of the packages is very small, and the other is fairly heavy. So at least there's a little bit of a contrast. And I feel certain that there's more on the way that just is late getting here. But let's see what these are. These won't be long videos today, but we'll see what this first one is. Probably a mass market paperback of some kind. Yes, it's a mass market paperback, although not quite. These extra weird size square mass market paperbacks that I don't particularly like. I don't think they fit well in the hand. I honestly believe that if I had been a fly on the wall for the publishing design meeting, I mean, it's a big deal. It doesn't seem like it, but there are hardly any places in the country that still display new mass market paperbacks, and these require that your fixtures be changed. The fixtures, the descendants of the metal spinner racks that used to be at every drugstore and every gas station, those fixtures are fixed. They fit a certain size of book, and this is not that size anymore. You're hurting the book in order to cram it into those little metal slots, and the industry had to know that. And they changed the size anyway. And I firmly believe they changed the size so that it would be more reminiscent of holding a Kindle. I was not a fly on the wall of those design meetings, but I'd be willing to bet that's the reason that carried the day, that these things are Kindle shaped. Which, if true, would say a lot about the cart leading the horse in the book world. I would love to know whether or not that's true. And I don't know that anybody now in the 21st century, surrounded by COVID variants and authoritarian regimes on the rise everywhere, is even bothering to record these things in order to write a history down the line. I myself am still doggedly interested in that history. I would read it. Books in the age of the ebook, I would read that. But anyway, this is one of those square books that is my theory, just in case down the line somebody who was a fly on the wall at those meetings comes out with a memoir, or the industry itself divulges the truth. You will at least have heard my theory here first. My theory is that this size was chosen because it's the size of a Kindle. It's the shape of a Kindle, as opposed to being taller than it is wide, like a book. But this is Girls Before Earls. This is the first in a new series by Anna Bennett. The new series is called Rogues to Lovers. Wonderful cover there. Just lovely. Not all that practical. How'd she get up there in that dress? But still wonderful. That is just lovely. And I already know Anna Bennett features prominently on this bookcase here. So I already know that I like this author. But let's see what we have here. Okay, so this comes out on December 28th. This comes out 2 days before the very end of the year. And this is, let's see here. To survive her difficult childhood, Miss Hazel Lively relied on 2 things. A tough exterior and a love of books. Oh, we all like her now, don't we? Now she's realized her lifelong dream of opening a school for girls. She's hoping the wealthy families who summer at the shore will entrust their daughters to Bellhaven Academy and help pay for less fortunate students. All Hazel must do to maintain a flawless reputation. Good luck with that in a romance novel. It's a foolproof plan till a handsome earl strides into her office. Gabriel Beckett, Earl of Bladenton, has had a monstrous headache since the day his teenage niece became his ward. She's already been expelled from 2 London schools, but Blade, that's his nickname, Blade, is determined to enroll her at Belhaven Academy, where she'll be out of his hair. If only he can convince the buttoned-up and unexpectedly intriguing head mistress to take a risk. Okay, so Rogues to Lovers gives away the game here, but that doesn't matter because the game itself is fun. And this is in one of those square paperbacks for $9 and comes out at the very end of the year. Girls Before Earls. And it's not just retail bookstores with their metal fixture racks. It's also me. It's also me with my bookcase. How on earth to fit these things? They don't. All of those books are double stacked and double shelved, and this doesn't work with that, or doesn't work as well. It almost seems like it requires a shelf of its own. I'll deal with all of that as Project Harrigan moves slowly on. That was the first package, and it was small, a mass market. This next one is heavy. So it could be just the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of something big and let's see what we have. I'm making a mess here. That's all right. Oh boy. Okay, well yes, this is big. Fantastic. This is the finished copy of the new landmark Xenophon's Anabasis. Fantastic. So I get to show you this. I've been praising this all month, but I get to show you what I'm talking about now. This series, you can see on the cover, it's Bob Strassler that does these. This series is, again, oversized. I've got 2 books that aren't normal size. This is not a normal sized hardcover, and this is not a normal sized paperback. These oversized things are a little bit wider than a normal hardcover to accommodate the vast amount of illustrations involved in every volume. You'll have pictures. Of course, the glory of this series is its maps. There are maps everywhere, corresponding to every single detail of the text in question that calls for a location, that calls for a map. So instead of getting one map of ancient Greece and ancient Asia at the beginning or the end of the book, the Landmark series, hence its name, gives you extremely helpful maps all throughout the book. So that everywhere you are in the reading, in this story, in this case, Xenophon's own autobiographical story about a gigantic force of soldiers trapped behind enemy lines, forced to trek their way back to home and to, famously, in one famous passage, the sea. This is a terrific adventure story, full of well-drawn characters. I firmly believe, as has been said many times in the last century, that Xenophon would be a military fiction author today. He'd be Tom Clancy today if he were writing. It's all of the novel instincts are in here, even though he's telling history, and even though he's telling it at least what he views as conscientiously, because he was part of it and knew a lot of people who were part of it. But this is the text, new translation of the Anabasis. This is the translation is by David Thomas. This is the text of the Anabasis plus all of the pluses. So you've got footnotes at the bottom of the page. You've got clarifying annotations in the columns. You've got artwork everywhere to illustrate everything in the text that can be illustrated. You have a generous introduction and also lots and lots of appendices. See, you look at the table of contents. That is the translation of the text. Then you start with all of that secondary information, all of those extra essays and appendices analyzing and illuminating every single detail of the text. This is just a thing to have. These, if you're a fan of classical literature, these landmark editions are things to have and things to revisit. I don't actually have all of them. I wish I did. I wish I'd held on to them. In the past, I've had every one of them from the publisher, and in the past, I just get rid of them. Somebody says, I really, really want that, and I don't have any access to it at all, and it's too expensive for me to buy. Well, that's usually going to do it. At least earlier in the year, it will do it. And as a result, I've just never bothered to replace these things. I would send them off and do what I always do, which is say the Brattle will provide. Sooner or later, I will see a hardcover with a dust jacket of every one of these things. So right now, I have the Landmark Thucydides. I think I have. I have the Landmark Julius Caesar, and I have the Landmark Xenophon, both the volumes of Xenophon that the series has done. And the Landmark Hellenica, the Landmark Xenophon's Hellenica, I only have because I found it at the Brattle, or somewhere, some used bookstore. So that will happen. I don't plan on getting rid of this one, and this is fantastic. I don't ordinarily care all that much if I've already read and enjoyed a book in galley form or as an ebook, then I don't always really care whether or not I have a print copy. But in the case of these books, I very much do. These books come in here. They come into this little book room. So that's fantastic. All right, so the long and the short of it here, we have a new heavily annotated and footnoted edition of a work of ancient Greece, and we have a new romance. So that's pretty much Steve in a nutshell for this mail haul. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. A very good mail haul, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.